What do you say, everybody? Welcome to Elephant in the Room, part of Roll Tide Pods on YouTube. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Keep the comments coming. We love to read them, and we appreciate all of you guys that hang out with us twice a week now during football season. He's Jay Cochran, and I'm Mick Gillispie, part of Disrupt the Media. And we got a lot to talk about today with the SEC Championship coming Saturday. But before we go there, let me remind you guys to go to mybookie.ag, and you get $1,000 up to $1,000 price match, 50% of that when you make your first round of wagers there. Jake's been doing great this year. I'm having the worst year I've ever had, but it's still fun. I did have a 5-0 week.
I think a lot of people have had tough years because I think favorites have been just dominant this year.
Yeah, that's it. And I wonder if that tells us something about the world of college football too. You know, with the NIL and transfer portal, is this what we're going to see now, where the difference makers are all going to, like, you know, the big teams that have the cash?
Yeah.
And honestly,
well, did you see Matt Rule's comments?
Yeah, I saw it, and I thought of you. You're a little bit too old.
I got screwed.
Can you imagine, like, $1.5 million to $6 million?
Yeah, life's all about timing, and let me tell you,
you didn't get that.
Been a day late and $1 short.
Your McDonald's bag didn't have that in it. It's crazy what's going on right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the wild, wild west. It's I saw where Dion came out and said, you know, they weren't doing that. You know, we can figure it out on the back end if you perform well, but which I love that message.
I do too.
I wish all of them would do that. But you know, some of these schools got the money to fork out, and I've always said it's gonna be a matter of time until these guys realize what they're not worth. And then these boosters finally get tired of paying a guy, you know, a certain amount of money, and he doesn't even play. I
heard a story from a great source, and I don't want to say who it is because I don't want to burn anybody, but it's a big-time quarterback in another SEC school who hasn't played yet and has a huge NIL, and they can't get him to do any of the NIL stuff. And a lot of these guys, and it's one of the people that's paying into the NIL. Yeah. Pretty frustrated right now. Oh, I bet. Because they're paying this guy and it's not like, you know, it's like do an interview or, you know, do a signing or show up at a banquet or something. And the guy doesn't want to do it. Well, can you imagine being 18 years old and, you know, you're signing out of high school and this is your first look at money? It's going to be a rough road. Love it. I would love it. I mean, I'd figure it out. I figured out, like, throw me into this. You know, like a how about 40-something broadcaster, pretty good at play-by-play. You know, throw me the NIL and see what I can do with it. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, you know, it's gonna be pretty. You know, guys like that don't understand, you know, what it takes to make money or just, you know, play their part for $1 million NIL job or gig. You know, probably going to take a lot of lessons for them to learn, but they're going to realize how hard it is to really get out and make money like that at some point. I was so broke when I got to college. They used to have these, like, they would have, I can still see them now. It'd be like a table, and they would have, like, out on the quad or, you know, somewhere, you know, Rose administration type joint by the Ferg. And they have like a pile of like, Diet Mountain Dew 2 liters or, you know, Coke or something. You remember these? And they would want you to sign up for the credit cards. And if you did, I mean, you got a free 2 liter of Coke. Like, what a great deal. You know? Yeah. A terrible credit score years later. Found out that was a really shitty deal. I felt, I'm like, oh, it's just like credit, you know. 3 liter of Coke, you're in credit card debt. You know, you're bookie now because you're trying to dig out of that hole. Yeah. Oh man, I mean, it was like such a learning experience, you know, like just
And I don't even know if they do that anymore. I mean, at least they'd give you a T-shirt now.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
like I've run into them at different places, like spring training. I walk by and I'm like, oh, what is he gonna do to get that really cool blanket? It's got all the team logos on it, and it's like, oh, credit card. Okay, well, I got a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke.
Here's a blanket. Now let me dig my claws in.
Yeah, right. And a 16% interest rate, and a bad credit score.
That's right.
But you do have to learn. And the other thing I wonder too is that taxes, and doing taxes is something that isn't taught. You know, they should have a how to do your taxes class in school.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
loans,
another
mortgage loans. I mean,
man, I had this conversation with a buddy of mine, Chad Anderson. He's got a mortgage company. He started himself. And I said, you know, you should do shows on just educating people on how to do mortgages, because when I did the mortgage on this house, I knew nothing about it. I didn't know anything about any of it. I didn't know how the whole thing worked. And I'm not saying I'm a pretty smart guy. I just never bought a house before, you know, and then you go through it. And now I feel pretty educated on the whole process. But it would have been nice to kind of, you know, have some instructions on it, you know?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean,
you know what I mean by that?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I don't, when I bought my first house, I had zero clue. I thought you just, you know, rolled up to a bank and they just, you know, here's a loan and here's what you owe.
Yeah, right. They're like, can we see your checking account for the last 4 months?
That's right.
We want the boss of the company you work for's phone number, you know? And you're like, okay. Nah. You're like, it's insane, man. It's like, it takes a month to go through the whole thing, and then you get to the end, and then you have this big meeting of the minds, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, you walk out and there's the keys, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, take a deep breath. But you know, kind of going back to the NIL thing, I'm sure schools like Alabama are doing the education in this.
You would hope so.
I would think so, right?
I mean, you would hope so. I mean, I know there's when I was there, Coach Saban brought in a lot of people to talk about different things, but you know, it's not one of those things you can just learn and you know, a 1-hour speech,
right? And
you know, I was one of those dumbasses who was like, I'll tend to this when I get there.
Yeah, right. You're not worried about mortgage when, you know, you got Tennessee coming to town with Josh Dobbs, you know, like.
That's right.
There's this team called Clemson with a guy named Dabo. Used to be an Alabama guy, you know. Got to worry about this.
We're going to try to beat Clemson and head to Innisfree afterwards.
Yeah, right. You also had to worry about getting in the woods and hunting a little bit too, right?
Had to get away a little bit.
Yeah, I did the same thing though. It's been so long for me, but I told you this. I don't know if I've said it on the air, but I had a place in Foster. Foster's. I went. One of my buddies had a shooting house. I'd pull right up, get done class, go sit in there, you know, and it's great.
Perfect way to get away.
Well, the best part about it was I could drive my Bronco down to get the deer, and I, you know, like, so lazy. I didn't go in the woods or anything. You know what I mean? Like, unless they ran in the woods, so they got shot. But I supplied meat to a lot of people, venison back in the day, you know. One of my friends reminded me.
A lot of college kids over the years.
One of my friends, Jared Kingery, I talk about him a lot. The star pitcher in '97 and a great guy. Reminded me the other day of my dehydrator. What do they call those?
Dehydrator.
Yeah,
for jerky.
For jerky. Yeah. And when he said it, I was like, man, I made a lot of jerky. Like,
deer jerky's so good.
Supplied to everybody. Hooked them up.
It's so good.
Great snack too.
Oh yeah, good for you too.
Yeah, it was delicious. To get me back in the woods again.
Mm-hmm.
I did some skeet shooting a couple weeks ago, so I'm starting to get that fever again.
You
know.
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, like you get on a roll. It's like I couldn't shoot the broadside of a barn, and then I was like, man, how did I get so bad? And I was like, kind of at that point where there was like 5 different stations left, and I'm like, I need a beer. I'm getting out of here. And then I was like, why don't I just like shoot all of them? And then I'm like 7 in a row, 8 out of 9.
Started drinking a few beers.
No. I was just gonna leave. Gonna take the golf cart out of there. But then I was like, I might as well just try. When I was like, I just, and then I was like, man, I'm gonna do this. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's fun. Where'd you do it?
In Tennessee.
Okay.
I
was
up
at the
there.
retreat.
Yeah, up there in the mountains. And Sevierville. Yeah, it was great, man. So you do all those things to instead of figuring out like how you're gonna kind of spend your
Support
money,
your future family.
Yeah. All the things. And we're going to talk football. I got to say this though. my days of bartending at Boo Radley's, which used to be next to 4th and 23rd, it's top shelf now.
Uh-huh.
That was where the real education happened.
No, that is true. Though.
You learn how to make money and work, and and get to know different people from all over the place, and you become a celebrity.
I'm sure you did.
Somebody out there is going, I used to let that guy in my bar and give him a free beer. Right. You'd see the other people from the other bars, they'd be in line like, oh yeah, come on, It's like this.
Well, that's such a good feeling.
Oh, dude, and you had it too. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. It was like that underground, because it's like that underground status. If you're not the quarterback that won a championship, you could be the guy that just has a good bar with cold beer and hooks you up.
Yeah, that's right.
Your tab may be a little light, even though you drank a lot. But we had fun, man, back in the day. All right, this game, Alabama and Georgia. I've got to be honest with you, man. I don't know what to think about this game right now. I tend to side with Alabama because they played so poorly against Auburn. I don't think that that's who this team is. I think that that Georgia really hasn't been put to the test a whole lot. Bama's defense can't play as bad as they did up front this week. I think they're going to be attacking.
Isn't it weird? This has been one of the few seasons, or really maybe no. I mean, this whole season has been like a seesaw between, man, the defense looks so good, the offense looks so good. It's, so back and forth with inconsistency. Now, the offense is since LSU, I mean, that's when, we've really, I think I bring him up all the time. Joel Klatt's like, now they're winning because of Jalen Milroe.
Yeah. Is he giving? I haven't seen him in a while. Is he giving him a lot of credit? Joel Klatt?
I think he is now.
He is. You have to, right? I mean, you could not.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, to me, the difference in this game is Jalen Milroe. Georgia hadn't seen a quarterback like him all year. This is going to be a completely different kind of game plan for them just to account for him. And you're not going to be able to just have one guy account for Jalen Milroe. So there's going to be some guys open. He's got to make plays with his feet. I'd like to see him run a little bit more aggressively this week than he did last week. It just kind of seemed off this week. I mean, I know we discussed that on Monday.
Mm-hmm. He just looked indecisive. I don't think he looked hurt to me. He just looked indecisive.
He's going to have to run the ball and play like he did against LSU.
Right.
I mean, if he sees the hole go, it was like that, the third down where he danced across the line, came back.
Yeah.
Probably could have gained 12 yards. Coach Saban was, he was getting after him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, man. I don't think, though, Carson Beck has been pressured.
No, I agree.
And even the greats like Tom Brady, once you get the reason the Ravens always had success against Tom Brady is that they would pressure him right up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And in the games that they beat them, it was because they were able to get pressure on him. And I feel like it's going to be the same with Carson Beck or any quarterback. I mean, none of you guys like to you don't want a big giant guy throwing you to the ground all the time.
Yeah, the worst kind of pressure, even if you don't get sacked or technically pressured, is when you've got your center or guard right in your lap. And, you can't step into throws. You feel like you can't see very well.
Mm-hmm.
Having somebody in your lap, I mean, the entire game or just the majority of the game or a lot, it really, really affects the quarterback and his reads, his timing. And so to your point, that pressure, that obstacle in the middle of the pocket, that's the worst thing you can have as a quarterback, because you still got to find lanes no matter how tall you are, and you can't just throw it over the top of people and see over the top of people. You got to find lanes and be able to move in the pocket, and when you get those guys up front pushing the pocket in your lap, it makes it very, very difficult.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that for Alabama, their formula for success is going to have to be to
can't let them run the ball though.
No, and that I was shocked by that, and we talked about this before. That was the biggest surprise to me last game, is that Auburn ran the ball like that.
Yeah, man. If you tell me the quarterback for the opposing team went 5 for 16, then I mean, I would have guessed the score would have been around 42-7.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, even the last couple of years when Bryce was quarterback, and I feel like our defense wasn't as strong as historically they have been. I'm still shocked to see that, and maybe really the first time that I've seen where we just got pushed off the ball and manhandled.
One thing you said last show, and I almost texted you the other day, but I was like, I'll just tell you on here. You nailed it, and I totally dismissed you. And then when I thought about it, I was like, you're exactly right. You said that they're probably looking at the game plan. Georgia's looking at the Alabama game plan. Not only is Georgia looking at the Alabama game plan, the Auburn game plan against Alabama. Alabama's looking at the Auburn game plan against Georgia.
Yeah, that's right.
So not only are you right, you were double right. And I'm like, well, they're going to do their thing, which they will.
Oh, yeah.
But that there's some GA out there like grinding through those. Like, what did they do here? And it was really a brilliant comment by you. And I guess it just kind of went right over my head. And then the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, you know what? I mean, that's exactly what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah. Offensively. And
well, both. Think about it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I mean, Auburn, to me, from what I saw, looked like, I mean, they did not pressure a bunch. It was, again, a lot of simulated pressures and dropping a lot of guys into coverage and really trying to contain Jalen in the pocket, kind of giving him time to throw almost.
Right.
And just not letting him use his legs. But, I saw Mississippi State try to do that, and he ran all over them. They tried to change a few things mid-game, and he kept just finding new ways to beat them. But, you're talking Georgia now with more talent than Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So, some people have the players to do that, and some people don't. Auburn, I didn't think was talented enough. I knew they were decent on defense, but I still didn't think they were in the same league as Alabama and, with the talent to stop them. But yeah, offensively, the game plan was incredible. And now you've got Carson Beck who can really throw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this could be, and we don't know what's going to happen if Alabama wins, but to me, this could be the national championship game. I mean, I think Alabama runs through the playoff field. So if they're matched up against Florida State, they're going to kill them. If they're matched up against Washington or Oregon could give them trouble. They're going to beat Washington, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
And they'll probably beat Oregon kind of the same way we saw Georgia do it last year, where they'll just physically run over them. Yeah. You go and you play that weak ass schedule that they have out there. I mean, come on, man. Like
it's a different style of play.
It's just different. I mean, at the beginning of the season, Alabama was trying to figure out how to get the bullets back in the gun because they lost two of the top 3 guys in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
They lost them to the NFL. Mm-hmm. And then and everyone else that left last year. And now you're trying to figure out who's going to quarterback. You had an offensive line that had young guys in it that gotten better, and Proctor gotten a ton better. And they figured it out. But the talent's better. It just is. Like, look at where the rest of those teams are on signing day, Oh,
yeah. And again, talent takes you, to a certain level. I think there's a lot of teams out there, not a lot, but, a handful of teams out there with similar talent levels than Alabama. But The culture at Alabama, the culture at Georgia is just tougher. I remember, and I love Florida State. It was, that was a really tough team. But I do remember when I left Florida State, I just committed to Alabama, and I came up to Alabama for spring break to work out and, get accustomed to the program and what they wanted from me. And so on that spring break, I had to go work out and by myself, with a coach. But I go there to warm up, and Kendall Moorhead gives me the sheet for the workout sheet.
Yeah.
And I look at it, and it's like somewhat small print that fills up a whole page. I was like, holy shit. I look at him, and I was like, this is for the whole week, right? And he goes, nah, buddy, that's just for today. I was like, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into? And then I had to run after that. And I was like, this is insane. And then you go through a whole summer, and it's you do that every day, Monday through Friday, right. And you got coaches on your ass. Scott Cochran was one of my favorite coaches I had ever been around. I know he's gone now, and but I loved him to death. And he'd be on your ass, but he'd also be a good mentor and lead you through that program. But the culture there was, it was just so tough, so hard nosed that you were just, by the end of each game, you felt like you were looking across the line and at a team that was defeated. And you're just ready to keep playing another couple quarters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you speak to,
it was like being on the KA flag football team. We had to bribe the officials to keep playing because there was a.
Y'all used to work out on a free weight.
Yeah, we did. No, there were some tough games on the. No, I know what you mean. Like, I do know what you mean. I went through that season with you guys. Like, it was insane. Like, once you got it going, like just destroy people. Like
but again, the whole culture of it was just, you just felt like you were tougher. You had been through more. You're closer to your teammates, and not only that. SEC football. I know that's the SEC network slogan, but it does mean more. You can go to other stadiums and see the atmosphere. And you go to Arkansas, they've won 4 games and they sell out.
Well, and if Arkansas was in the Pac-10, 12 or the Pac-10 or the Big 10 or whatever they're called, they wouldn't have won 4 games.
Yeah.
They weren't that bad of a football team. It's just that the competition is so tough in this league. It's just, it's brutal week in and week out. Think about their win over Florida and the way they came back against Alabama. And they're one of the worst teams in the league.
Oh yeah.
And if you're a coach and you come in and your first season's dreadful, you're fired. Like Mississippi State did with Arnett. Like it's, this is, the competition level in this league since I can remember is just, it's as good as it gets.
Oh yeah. When when I was in Alabama, Coach Keesaw, who was actually the OC for Harsin at Auburn, he was at Alabama while I was there, and he had been at what's the school? Anyway, one of the smaller California schools, and he had kind of been around the West Coast. He's a great guy, great coach. And I asked him, I was like, what's your thoughts on the difference between the SEC, Pac-12, Big 12 back then? He's like, this is just insane. Every team, doesn't matter if they got losing records, they've got NFL talent everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'll even say, like, when you play Arkansas, I make this comment all the time. You play Arkansas, you may beat them by 30 points, but you've just been in a damn dogfight. They will beat the hell out of you.
Yeah, physically.
And you may win the game by a lot of points, but you're like, get me out of here.
Yeah, right. I've had a lot of respect for them. Mississippi, I told you, I was talking to you and Ryan about Mississippi State. I honestly think Mississippi State has been tougher on Alabama than Ole Miss over the years, but before you guys got there, obviously. And they've had that reputation too, you know, of going out there and being a physical football team. And I think that they kind of feel like Auburn feels in this state. They're in Alabama's media market. They got to see you guys on TV all the time. And it's that one game, every year where they might not win, but they're going to be so physical.
No, yeah.
That, they're not going to, you're going to have respect for them. Like you said, the scoreboard might not reflect that, but I just don't see that in the old Pac-12. And honestly, I've been dumbfounded by how Washington and Oregon could be ranked ahead of Alabama and Texas when the strength of schedule is better for those two schools. The opponents that they've beat is better than Oregon, who has a good loss. Somehow that loss over Washington is viewed as a win for them. But I feel like this could be some kind of ploy to keep the SEC out of the
to keep them at 8. Yeah, I mean,
to keep them out if they win, like would it be end up 5 or something, and it's like there's no damn way that you could look at the best 4 teams, like Kirk Herbstreit said. Which, by the way, I saw Kirk. Don't know him. Saw him at the old Innisfree. The one where the gray lady is now. Years ago, I walked in and it was in his heyday, and he had an aura around him. You know what I mean by that?
I don't know.
I walked in and he was glowing. He was taller than everybody, and he was glowing. And my wife was like, "Hey, that guy's got what?" And I said, "That's an aura." And that's the guy he's the ESPN guy. Like he was glowing.
Stephanie, stay away from him.
Yeah. That guy has got it going on right now. Now, I like him, but I really appreciate that comment because they're going to end up ruining the most deserving is complete crap. The most deserving is why we watched TCU get destroyed by Georgia last year, because one of the 4 best teams last year, everyone that's watching this podcast, without a doubt, was Alabama.
I mean,
without a doubt,
Kansas State beats TCU and Alabama beats TCU K-State by about what, 5-6 touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even close.
It was more than that. I think it was like 49-7.
But they're trying the same thing now.
Oh yeah,
because and it's like they want to weigh this Texas game that was a 10-point loss week 2, like it's like they lost yesterday, like they went into Michigan and lost for the 3rd straight time in a rivalry game and couldn't move the football.
Yeah,
that's not what happened. What happened was you're talking about a team that lost the number 1 pick in the NFL draft and the number 3 pick in the NFL draft, one on offense, one on defense.
And you lose to a good team the 3rd game of the year.
Right. And you don't even know who your quarterback is.
Yeah. You bench him the next game, and now he's got Heisman numbers.
And now this is a different team. And so I was
Florida State's got to be out, right? Even if they win,
they're terrible.
And I hate to say that.
Teams.
I love Florida State.
Does that hurt your soul a little bit?
It does a little bit.
Okay,
but they got to be out. I mean, you can't put if Travis,
you better not go back to that reunion.
That was a couple weeks ago.
You already missed it. All right, let's talk about it. Let's get into this then. You are right.
No, if the starter was still in there, they're undefeated, then yeah, every bit of it.
Right.
But now
it's a struggle bus every game.
Yeah, but now it's a judgment call. There's no criteria. I mean, there is technically a little bit of criteria, but there's no black and white rules. I mean,
yeah, right.
That if Florida State lines up against Alabama, it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah.
Now with the starter in the game,
come on, man. You know how this is going to go. This game on Saturday is a game they could lose. Man, I think they'd beat Oregon. I think they'd beat Washington. They beat Michigan. Like let's just can I pull the curtain? Do you mind if I do that?
I want to see it. Yeah.
All right, let me pull the curtain up. The Big Ten stinks. I mean, look at Iowa. They're the worst team making a championship game that I can ever remember in between the SEC and the Big Ten. This is a terrible football team.
The fact that Ohio State
won 10 games. They would not have made a bowl game in the SEC.
Yeah.
Think about that. Who they beating?
They would have been Arkansas in the SEC.
They might beat Kentucky.
But Arkansas would beat them.
They might beat South Carolina, and they would beat Vanderbilt.
Kentucky would beat them.
And they might beat that's what I'm saying. They might. I'm saying this, like the only 2 guaranteed wins I'd give them, Vandy and Mississippi State. And it's because Arnett fired everybody that ran the offense that his quarterback knew how to run. Yeah. Which was brilliant. And then totally changed the offense. Like he got the job, which was kind of like to me, the worst thing that can happen is like you make that like emotional hire.
Yeah.
Like, man, we lost Mike Leach, and I love Mike Leach. I'll tell you that right now. He's my kind of guy. I went to Captain Tony's, okay, and had my last mango in paradise in his seat next to him. You know, Jimmy Buffett wrote the song. He used to hang there. Like I went there like 2 weeks after they honored him in the bowl game. I love the guy. But do you get rid of this guy and you hire Arnett, which was a bad hire in the first place. Mm-hmm. And then you got exactly what you deserved. The guy came in. He's like, okay, we're going to get rid of the offense. Well, hell, what do you guys do? Is that you have an offense that's tough to stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got rid of the thing that you had. You fired the offensive coordinator. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this damn offense.
Bring the iron fist in there.
Yeah. We're going to play regular big boy football. Yeah. Yeah.
Going 2 yards of cloud of dust.
Yeah, right. Go back to being a defensive coordinator, pal. You know, we're going to go get Jeff Lebby, who's I thought was a good hire, and
I do think that's a good hire.
We're gonna throw it again, and we're gonna play some offense.
I just hate that it happened after Will Rogers is going to be gone.
I know, man. Maybe he comes back. Where do you think he's going to
go? What? I thought he was a senior. This is not his last year.
Man, everybody gets extra years.
Oh, man. I forgot.
Man, he's got another year.
Jeez, this is gonna be his 6th year, isn't it?
Yeah, just
at
play.
Least.
Might as well just let him play forever.
Golly.
Don't seem like some of these guys have been around forever.
I mean, Will Rogers. Well,
KJ Jefferson went in the portal. What if he's from Mississippi?
Did he really?
Yeah, maybe he goes there.
I didn't know he went in the portal.
I hope he doesn't go to Auburn.
I could see that.
I would not want that. Locally, Riley Leonard, the pride of Fairhope, where you're at right now.
I'm here in Notre Dame.
That's fine with me. I don't know Riley Leonard to Auburn.
I don't want Auburn getting anybody. They do have a pretty good recruit coming in, and I can't remember his name. Met him over at QB Country.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, big guy, big kid. Looks like he can sling it a little bit.
Did you ever tell him that he used to be able to throw the football over the mountain? You got to one state of coaching to put you in.
That's what I told you. Yeah, that's what I told him. I was at the QB Country facility in Mobile. I said I could throw this damn thing to Nick's house.
Look out, Montrose. That's funny. That must be fun over there.
Yo, good orange meat.
Yeah. Go back. Stay in Fort Bama.
That's right.
Who threw the furthest football you ever saw? This Milroe guy can throw it.
Kelvin Benjamin.
Okay, I don't know him.
Receiver at Florida State, was drafted, I think, 24th overall to Carolina.
I do remember him.
Absolute freak of nature. Mm-hmm. I mean, the guy was like a little taller than me, weighed 240 pounds. Could see him. I mean, he would do backflips and crazy shit.
Right.
And I swear to God, I saw him throw a ball 90 yards.
And you're like, man, I do this.
You know
what I mean? I do this.
Well,
and then this guy comes up and throws the whole length of the field.
Well, the form wasn't great, but it didn't.
That made you feel better.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm telling myself.
As you watch the ball go from the goal line to the other 10, man, did you see the way he pulled out on that throw?
Me and Clint Trickett were standing next to each other, and we we looked at each other like, holy shit.
How did he just do that?
He threw it from like down here, and he was like walking when he did it. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's some guys in baseball like that. Well, the best athlete ever was Bo Jackson, Auburn guy. I thought, like, I was at a baseball game.
I wish I could have seen him like, in person.
I waited in line for his autograph after the game, and he snubbed me, and I never liked him after that. I had to take my Bo Nose poster down. I had to go to Alabama.
I figure you're little.
No, I was a little guy. Yeah, I was at a game in Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. Father Carl took me, and he's a priest now in Boca Raton. I just saw him last year on my way to Key West. I'm going to see him again this year. And I brought this up. He used to take me to games when I was a kid, and Bo Jackson was like at the bat, and then he wanted a timeout, so he put his hand back. And the guy threw it, and Bo Jackson just hit a home run. like they didn't grant him time. yeah, like it was almost like one-handed, like just barely back in home run. And the same game, ball in the gap, and he ran up the side of the wall after he caught it.
I did see that.
Yeah, he's done. I guess he had done that a few times.
The throws from the outfield.
Oh, dude, the throws were crazy.
Threw out at first base.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. Like, it was insane. If he would have stuck to baseball, I don't know what his career would have been like. And if Bear Bryant ever made a mistake, it was telling him that he was going to be a linebacker. No, I think he was going to tell him these are linebackers. What I told.
I thought he said you're not going to play as a freshman.
I don't know. There's what I was told was that he wanted him to play linebacker. So I mean, who knows? You know,
have you heard that Bear Bryant story? I can't remember which
missed on that one.
I can't remember which recruit it was, but there was a guy that was talking to the Bear, and he's like, well, Coach, I'd really love to come to Auburn, to Alabama, but Auburn's talking about giving me this and giving me that, and possibly help my mom buy a house, and he was like, well, that's perfect. You let Auburn buy her a house, and then you come to Alabama.
Man, I love Bear Bryant's stories, man. He had this character, like
just an old school, didn't give a damn.
When I college job, you know this, I was the Skull and Copenhagen rep, and before I became the marketing guy, I used to have to go to these gas stations across, like Fayette, Alabama, Barry, tip up to Barry, Alabama, and up into Jasper and Oakman, and like some small places, Utah, and you'd be in there, and some of these gas stations, like the people that ran the gas station were like they've owned it, and like some of them even like lived above the gas station, and they were there forever, and they'd find out you were an Alabama fan and start talking to you, because I was in school there. And they would tell you these Bear Bryant stories, man. Like the guy would come in and he just took the time for all the little people. Yeah. I don't think that's first off, it's not Saban's personality.
No.
That's just not who he is.
He's all business.
He is
loves people, but he's all business.
He's just not. Yeah, he's just not going to the barbecue joint and in Selma and sitting down and trying all the barbecue. I mean, it's just not who
somebody's going to drop him off where it needs to be. He's going to talk and then he's out.
Yeah, right. Like somebody's getting him the barbecue and bringing it back to if he even eats that,
Yeah, that's right.
But Bear, that's who Bear was, man. I mean, he just loved that stuff. Like the common person.
I'll tell you, and I won't mention any names, but there was an old Alabama player that worked within the program. This had to be about, it was when Bear Bryant was still the coach, but he was like, he was telling me the story. He said, Coach Bryant had a speech to give in Montgomery. And so I had to drive him down to Montgomery from Tuscaloosa, and we're driving and we come through Centerville, and, there's a restaurant right here, and it's, full of people, looks like a good time. And he says, Coach Bryant said, son, pull over. He's like, you're going to make that speech in Montgomery tonight, and you're going to let me go in this restaurant. He said, "Come pick me up when you're done."
Can you imagine the disappointment? Can you imagine the disappointment? like, okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, Bear Bryant is not on. He's under the weather, so here's the former kicker.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I can believe
But how
that.
funny is that? I mean, son, you're gonna make this speech, and come and get me when you're done.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a good time. I loved when Snake Stabler was on the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Oh man!
And he would start just telling those stories about getting in trouble and how Coach Bryant would like somehow find them in places back before like iPhones and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, I'm at the Floribama, and I gotta say, somebody's like behind the bar, like, "Hey, Snake," and I'm, I don't remember. You know what I mean? Like,
that voice is great.
Yeah,
he
was awesome, man. It sucks that we were so bad when he was the color guy because he would have loved all this winning.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we're okay, but you know what I mean.
I wish I had been able to meet him. I met Joe Namath last spring. That was pretty cool. I was surprised he knew who I was, and I couldn't believe it.
Really?
Yeah. Why he's so nice. Just a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a story after the podcast.
I love these. You guys missing out, but if you're in studio, you get. What's it going to take for Alabama to have another Daniel Moore print moment? And by the way, Daniel Moore is doing the 4th and 31 print, and I see yours. You are right.
I knew. That was everybody I was watching the game with. As soon as that happened, it was like 4th and 31.
Yeah. Gotta say, I said it on the post game with everyone else. Danny, get ready.
Have Bond catching it or Bond like this?
I think it's one of those like, you do the split screen where it's like the one that John Parker Wilson had with Julio.
Yeah, the Georgia game. Is that right?
Yeah, the blackout. He's throwing the ball and Julio's catching the ball.
Yeah.
I had that one and actually gave it to my father-in-law because
I hear you.
Kind of guy.
I hear you. Just
I think what happens is like I love these things so much. Like,
they're great.
I don't have enough room.
They're perfect for studios, offices, all that.
I know. No, man, I'm excited about it. I hope. I can't wait to see it. I love it when it's almost like Christmas, like when he does the renderings and then you see what it's going to look like.
Oh yeah.
They were telling me when I was up there last time that the print for your game was actually Kenyon Drake. And then everybody was like, "Oh, I need one of these too."
Which I'm trying to think.
So there's the Kenyon Drake. Look behind you, the Kenyon Drake statue.
Yeah.
You've seen it before.
Yeah. There's one just the Kenyon play.
Yeah.
I think I may have seen that.
Where does he live?
He's in Cleveland now.
Got to get him in.
He's with the Browns.
I don't like I don't ask for a lot of signatures, but I'll give him all
he'd have a
the
lot
beer.
To sign.
I'll give him all the beer he wants if he'll sign that statue up there for me. Well, he'll have a great time here. That was an amazing play. But then they were telling me like that, and then they did that one, and then that's kind of like the whole season in a nutshell, right?
Yeah,
there.
LSU, cool. Georgia.
I was at all those games.
Michigan State.
I followed you guys.
Yeah, that year was just
such a
big
fun
game
year.
After big game too.
I know. Such a great season.
I love that Michigan State game.
No, that one I was not there for. That was the
you
one.
You weren't that one?
No, because
have you been to Jerry's World? That's my favorite place to play.
Is it?
It was awesome.
The turf's kind of soft.
It is. It's just, it's just such a cool, so much history in that, in just Dallas. You feel like you're playing America's team.
Look, when I was a kid, before the Ravens came, I was a Cowboys fan, big Cowboys fan, big Cowboys fan. Like I get Dallas Cowboy magazine and everything. Like I know what you mean. Like, and then there's so many Cowboys fans.
Yeah. And I'm not a Cowboys fan.
No. But it's such an enormous fan base. I still like them, but I'm just not a Dak Norris, different Dak. I'm not a Dak Prescott guy.
Yeah.
But if anyone knows, if anyone sees Dak Norris, tell him I said, "What's up?" He used to be a catcher at Alabama. Did you know that?
No.
You want to hear? I don't know if I'm going to tell you this side story, and I swear we're going to talk football. So Dax Norris, he was the caught at Alabama, great catcher, and then was with the Braves forever. He was like the AAA Braves catcher forever. And in spring training, he used to catch Greg Maddox all the time. So Greg Maddox was like a Cubs special assistant, and I was going to go to basically where he was, and I told Dax, and I'm like, I'm going to meet Greg Maddox, and he goes, go in there. He goes, when you see him, he said, just send this message for me. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, when you see him, tell him to go fuck himself. He doesn't know who I am, right? So I go, it's in Montgomery. It's at the Biscuits ballpark. So I go in, and he's in chipping golf balls and in the coach's office by himself. So I go by, and I'm like, hey, Greg. And he's just like, hey. And then I go, go fuck yourself. And then I just walk by, right? So I come pop my head back in, and I go, Dax told me to say that. We were great friends after that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He loved it.
I'm sure he did.
He loved it. Like you talk about a good introduction.
That's all time.
It was like great. Yeah. Like this could go one of two ways, but I'm going to go in. What he said was he told me to tell him. He said, tell him that Powder told you to said that. Because you remember that movie Powder? There's a movie called Powder, and it was like and Dax is bald guy, and that's how Greg Maddox made fun of him. And after that, Mad Dog, I loved him. Got along great with him. Yeah. Learned a lot about him.
He does have a high pitched voice, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like this. He was hitting golf balls, and then I'm like, hey, go fuck yourself. And I said, and then I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, Powder told me to say that. Greg Maddox is one of the smartest guys and one of the craziest guys I've ever met. I'm talking about not crazy as in like he's just nuts.
No, just crazy
like
as wild, wild and thinks
Mad
different
dog.
wavelength.
Yeah. Like he loves to mess with people.
Yeah.
And you can go on all these podcasts and former players will talk about stuff that happened. And I believe them. I don't even listen. We should just save this for another show, but I've got some of the stuff he told me. It's like, I'll tell you
all time.
Oh my God, dude. It's crazy. I love him. I think he's the best pitcher of our lifetime. And then you learn so much about the game from him. And then you hear the other stuff, how he would try to get the clubhouse loose.
Oh yeah. Have you seen the video of him? He's pranking Chris Bryant.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, he's dressed up.
The cameraman, and they're like, he's throwing BP, and Chris Bryant's like, what the hell?
That doesn't surprise me. He was Jim Hendry's special assistant. So, I mean, when Theo got the job, so I haven't seen him in forever. I saw him. I went to a Rangers game, and I was so glad that his brother Mike got a World Series ring this year. Because
I didn't know he had
Mike's the pitching coach of the Rangers.
Okay.
And so they both worked there for a while, and I went in. There's a guy named Shane. What's Shane's last name? I can't remember Shane's last name. But anyway, he was the strength guy at Alabama when I was a student. And he used to jump on the college radio with me. And when Josh Hamilton was playing for the Rangers, he was like he had to have one, he was so addicted to drugs and stuff. He had to have somebody that just kind of helped him.
Yeah.
And it was Shane. So I get done doing a play-by-play game and I go into the clubhouse. I'm like, is this really Shane? And I go in there and it was, and the first guy I knew, the only guy I knew was Greg Maddox. I was like, Greg, and he's like going in the shower, and with him, you never know what's going to happen in a situation like that. So when you're finished, would you help me find Shane? So,
anyway. Have you ever met John Rocker?
No, I would love to though, man.
Oh man, that guy! I remember he'd come
I
to
had a
the mound.
girlfriend from Macon in Alabama. Same grew up with her.
I grew up watching the Braves, and so like he'd be pitching, and like half the time my mom would be like covering my eyes while we're watching the game on the couch.
Is he like the real Kenny Powers?
Yeah,
I'd love to meet him. That guy was so good. So what's it going to take in your estimation? I mean, could Alabama get blown out in this game?
I was sitting there with David Morris earlier today, and he was like, I could see Georgia really beating the hell out of Alabama. I'm like, man, I don't see that.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it'd be one thing if all Jalen could do was run the ball, but a dynamic guy like that, it's just so hard to defend. I think it all comes down to the defense. And really, can you stop the run and make Carson Beck beat you with his arm?
Right. You got to make him one-dimensional, and that dimension, take it away.
I mean, again, historically, outside of last freaking week, we stop the run and beat quarterbacks that are immobile. And he's not immobile, but you know what I mean.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I mean, he's not Jaden Daniels or Jalen Milroe.
No.
As long as we can just force some 3-and-outs or long drives in which they have to throw the ball a bunch.
We can't turn it over. We don't win the Iron Bowl if we turn it over. You know that?
Oh, yeah. No, that's right.
Think about that.
That's right.
This team has done two things that last year's team didn't do. They don't turn it over, and they get turnovers.
Yep. Hell, the last turnover we haven't fumbled the ball. Have we? Yeah, no kidding.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been great.
We haven't fumbled the ball, and I don't remember the last interception Jalen threw.
I mean, it might have been like at the end of a half or something, but I mean, it wasn't anything significant. He's gotten smarter with the ball. By the way, kudos to the guys at the next round. I love those. I'm pretty critical. I probably said this before. I get it. The NIL kids, they come on and we want to hear from them, and then they come on and they don't say anything and they're boring and all that. I've said that, and not good interviews. Honestly, the Alabama guys have done a good job this year. I watched the
Terrian does a great job.
Yeah, Terrian's really funny. Like he's really kind of belongs in here with us.
Yeah,
good fit in this room right here. I don't know that Saban would like that.
Yeah, he wouldn't. Too much rat poison.
Yeah, a lot of rat poison and beer. But no, he's great. I think that Milroe's done a really nice job of kind of Booker's done a good job too this year. Like they have.
Yeah, no, Milroe's done a good, and Lance even, fired a few shots across the bow on Jalen a few times. Did you see that?
Yeah,
which is good. Jalen handled it great, But it's good when guys in the media are talking to players like that, and you just have a real conversation.
Yeah, that's how things have changed some with the NIL, because you would never hear from players, and Saban, doesn't even let the assistants talk, and I'm sure that like Josh Masson is, a little bit concerned every time these guys go and talk. I mean, that's kind of his job to make sure that there's no like.
If he had hair, he'd be pulling it out.
yeah, right, right. I like Josh a lot. I've known him forever, and I know he's got a tough job. I mean, if something goes wrong, guess who's looking for you?
Oh yeah.
So, like somebody says the wrong thing, coach wants to see you.
That's right. That's never a good. No. That's never a good deal.
I'm sure that there's not a lot of times where coach is like, "Hey, let me see Josh. He did a great job." It just doesn't. It doesn't strike me as that guy.
No. Especially the media guy.
Yeah, right. Maybe in your paycheck. This is one of these games though, where if Alabama loses, and I said this about Ole Miss and LSU, and to an extent Tennessee, but not as much. If Kirby beats Nick Saban and Alabama loses again, you start to question where Alabama is in the pecking order of college football. And I think that's fair. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, man. I don't know if you saw. Did you see David Pollock's?
Oh yeah. I mean, what a clown, though, man. That's a guy who's a Georgia guy. Some of these people that do media, and you know what?
Some are grabbing headlines. That's exactly what that was.
That's
he
what
does
it
that
is.
a lot.
Yeah, he does. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like even though I speak up sometimes, and like last year, Alabama belonged in. If they didn't belong in, I swear I would say it. You know, if I didn't think they were one of the 4 best teams, even though I love Alabama, I would say it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I don't work for Crimson Tide Sports Network anymore. I don't have to go into anyone's office and look anyone in the eye and have them get mad at me for my take. You know, I don't. Like, which is what I love.
Pretty good. I mean, that was a pretty easy decision last year. I mean, Alabama was definitely better than TCU.
And my point is that I try to be objective, but what we're experiencing this year and last year is people who are so jealous of this program that they would rather put in teams that they know good and damn well don't deserve it, just to keep Alabama out because they don't want to see another Daniel Moore print of a championship. And that one's got cobwebs on it. Like, where's my wife?
Yeah.
Her job's to clean.
No, at this point, without a doubt, Alabama should be at least number 5. Ohio State, Florida State, and I know Florida State's undefeated, but I mean, we've already discussed this. Alabama should be 5. Texas, I guess, right there at 4 for now. And then after this weekend, you'll determine whether Alabama jumps Texas or not.
Well, if Alabama beats a team that hasn't lost in 29 games, how are you going to keep them out? And I'm joking. I clean my own studio just to. She loves it when I mention her. Get that cockeyed look. But how do you keep them out?
You can't unless it's
you
like,
can, but it
like
wouldn't be right.
You're right, but it's like we talked about a few weeks ago. You know, Kirk Herbstreit mentioned it the other day or 2 weeks ago that you cannot keep an SEC champion that beat Georgia out of the college football playoff. I mean, you cannot do it. There's no way. I don't care what anybody says. Can you imagine just an SEC champion? How many in the last 10 years, how many times an SEC team won the national championship?
Oh, I mean, it's every year because we're the best team.
And you're going to keep the best SEC team out of the playoff.
But what it does, though, is it allows another team to win a championship that doesn't deserve it. That's the only way that you're going to keep an SEC team from winning the championship is to keep them out. You know, like this is the same trick that we saw with the baseball tournament, where all of a sudden you get the bracket and there's like, 6 SEC teams on one side of the bracket and like 1 or 2 on the other side, and then all of a sudden now there's so many, they can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
The ACC's had that same issue with basketball in the past because their basketball's so good. But what's going on right now with Alabama staying at number 8, it just pisses me off. Like Ohio State had no right to even be anywhere near that. They needed to be. They have no chance of going to the national championship game. 0. There's no chance.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, at this point, it's a statement. That's it. It's either a statement or you're just waiting to see if Alabama wins and beats Georgia, and then you're going to throw them in there. That's it.
But see, I think that the game plan is to keep Alabama out. And I think that it's going to take the people like Kirk Herbstreit to step up and say, hey, man, we can't do this.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is what's being pushed right now.
No, that's right. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you take a quick break, and I'll tell all of you guys about a couple of things right here. Let me put me on this screen right here till Jake returns. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with us here on Elephant in the Room, and we appreciate it hanging out all year long. We're brought to you by mybookie.ag, up to 50% price match to $1,000. So when you go on there and do your initial betting, it makes it a little bit more rewarding to you. And let me tell you this too, that when you do that, Lance's lock And lanceslock.com is where you need to go to get help with the picks, to go get that help with your picks. You don't want to be like me right now at 17-26. You want to be at 26-17. And LT covers it all, right? lanceslock.com covers it all. And it's not necessarily using all of the picks that he gives, but it's just giving you the information to make good picks too. The guy covers NBA, college basketball, college football, the NFL, all of that stuff at lanceslock.com. And just as someone that is around him and sees him, I think he's one of the best handicappers that's out there. I really believe in him.
Yeah, I mean, his what's he picking, about a 60% clip right now?
Yeah, he's rolling right now. What about you? What's your percentage? What would yours be? JakesLock.com or
Jake's Takes? Well, as soon as I did that, I'd start losing. Kind of like when I brag about my office pool.
Man, everything like why does it work out like that? That's life in general.
Start overthinking it. That's it.
When you feel comfortable, then all of a sudden everything falls apart.
No, yeah, you get complacent.
You know what I mean? Like,
you get
well, I don't even know if it's that. I just think it's like that idiot on Auburn's team that thought it was going to be funny to tackle and then harass the punter. Like, what a moron! And then the next punt, like the guy's pissed and he kicks it to the damn moon and it drops right through the guy's hands and it's a fumble. If you don't do that, it just doesn't happen.
I talked to Ellis Ponder the other day. He was one of the guys in the background on the sideline just giving it to the ref. I was like, hey, man, what'd you tell him? And I can't repeat that on the podcast.
Man, that's still
I love it though.
I love it too. But what a shitty job officiating a football game.
I mean, I guess it's one of those deals you don't want to cost anybody the game, but I mean that was just ridiculous.
It was so bad. And then you go back and you watch the triple shift snap and you watch the Burton catch, and you go through and you see all this, the face mask that they should have called. It would have been a face mask and a block in the back that they threw on Auburn, some of the holding calls, some of the pass interference that they didn't call. And it was just like, at least they missed that pass interference push off at the end of the game.
And somebody just tell me there's a horrible hold on the right tackle too.
Whatever. I mean, it was like
at that point it's 4th and 31.
Well, they hadn't what I was thinking is like if you're Bond on that play, you've been getting mugged the entire game. Like every time you're out, and there's a ball in the air, if those guys are near you, they're just tackling you. Yeah. No one's calling it.
I don't think that was, it wasn't terrible. It was like, that was kind of a football move.
I loved it.
It's got to be pretty egregious to me, but
well, you know what? Get tighter D next time.
That's right.
Put a little bit more pressure on the quarterback.
You got to be less easily pushed.
Yeah. I've enjoyed all the videos that have come out this week. There have
been some cinematic productions come out on that play.
I know that this could come back to haunt us, but then I go, you know what? This isn't coming back to haunt us. This is for the kick six in our face for 10 years.
Oh. When I first got to Alabama, it was the year after the kick six.
Oh.
And
what year was the kick six? 13?
2013, yeah.
Oh, man.
And so I watched that damn kick. Coach Cochran had that. I mean, it ran every day in the weight room while we worked out. Every day. I mean, it was nonstop. I'm so tired of seeing that play.
Yeah.
So tired of hearing Sam White's freaking voice. And Auburn's going to win the football game.
Oh, yeah. He was a good broadcaster. Tell you.
He was.
Well, the play-by-play guy.
That,
the play-by-play guy was good.
It wasn't Sam. What? Anyway.
But the last two guys they had were great.
I was tired of hearing that line, but he was a great broadcaster.
I know. He left. The problem with radio right now is that it's hard to get. I mean, no offense, but people don't listen to the games. Like they listen to the pregame and then they go in and watch it, or they watch it on TV. I mean, unless you're driving or you're in a field somewhere. I mean, you're
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, it's like it used to be where there would be certain games, kind of like the Chattanooga game, by the way, where there wouldn't be the game wouldn't be on television. You had to listen to it. You know,
Yeah.
it's just not like that anymore.
I mean, I still do love listening to the radio.
So do I.
You know, I mean, not for
Love it.
I don't like listening to the radio for games I don't care about, but like an Alabama game, I love listening to the radio.
Tennessee had a guy named John Ward that did them. And I would drive from Alabama to Baltimore back home when I was a student, and I'd catch those games. You couldn't call a game better.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't like them. I like them. You know what I mean? Like you'd be like, this guy's really good. Like you're
I hate
right
to say it. I hate to say it,
right? And then you know, like it's such an art. I've spent my life doing it in baseball, and it's just changing because people don't really listen to the radio anymore, you know? So you get like TV calls on radio and it's not the same thing, you know, like radio is like the description, like painting the picture and stuff, you know?
Oh, there's an art to it for sure.
And also an entertaining part of it too. You know, I know out here guys that do everything right and they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just entertaining.
There's an energy to it that you gotta have.
That's a good point. Yeah, charisma.
Yeah, you can have all the vocabulary, you can have all that, but there's a flow and energy that you gotta have. Pat McAfee, you know,
I like Pat. I
don't know if he'd be a good radio guy, but he's perfect for TV.
I enjoy him.
Yeah,
like I'm a fan of his. I'm not saying I watch their shows, but when he's on, I like him.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same way.
I mean, you know. I liked it when LT dressed up like him for Halloween. Did you see that?
Yeah, we talked about it more. Yeah.
All right.
You know who I think could be really good on game day, and I was thinking about that today. You remember EJ Manuel? He's actually on the ACC network.
Is he?
He's really, really good.
Is he?
You know, I mean, I loved him at Florida State, but yeah,
Did you play with him?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
Did you see him being good on media when you played with him?
Well, when I first met him, I was like, you know, you meet somebody, and I was like, this SOB is pretty smooth, you know? I mean, like, he's got it.
Right.
And he told me he wanted to be in movies, and then all of a sudden I see him on the ACC network after he's done playing pro football. But,
all right, I got a question for you, and then I'm going to ask you about a couple games. The biggest badass to ever play football at Florida State is? There's one answer.
What are you going to say, Dion?
No. Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Or Lee Corso.
No, Burt Reynolds. I like Lee Corso.
People forget Lee Corso.
I like Lee Corso. But Burt Reynolds, man, Burt Reynolds was a badass until he died.
Yeah.
Mustache was one of the mustache guys. We talked about it before. Like,
yeah, it was.
When you pull off the mustache, like when you do it and it works, you're a different level of cool.
You're a big mustache guy.
I am. I'm honestly, I'm sick that I can't do it. For all you guys out there with stashes, I'm jealous.
Oh man, you ought to see me grow out this nightmare right here.
You'd be like a full beard guy, like Willie with.
You mean like if I could
do it? If you could, you'd be like Willie and those guys with. Duck Dynasty.
I'd probably have a little stuff, but man, I tell you what, I bet those beards are kind of nasty too.
I'm not a beard guy, but I would be a stash guy. And you just reminded me of, and then we're going to talk about some games, and then we got to wrap it up. So we got right at the end of the show here. On Twitter, when you got followed by this person, who was the coolest? When Duck Dynasty followed me on Twitter, I was like spiking the football. Let's go.
Let's see. Michael Waddell. That's I'll go with that. Okay. He's actually a guy. So when I was growing up, I'd watch hunting channels all the time.
Yeah.
And he's the guy. And so
he's like the Bill Dance of hunting.
Oh yeah. Okay. He's like well,
because you said that
for a younger generation.
I don't really know him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But to you,
I've watched him. I've grown up. I've watched him hunt like his whole life.
Is he a Bama fan?
He's an Auburn guy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But he's from Georgia. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, a lot of them are. They the ones that can't quite get into Georgia. Those grades are like, I'm going to Auburn.
I don't know if he got into Auburn either, but
well, Auburn's like Georgia. Oh, he's just a fan.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I've always thought like Georgia Light over there. Very expensive. All right. As we wrap things up, let's talk about a couple of these games. Oregon and Washington. I think it benefits Alabama if Oregon wins, but I don't. Just because you know Washington would be undefeated, but the committee is just so
Oregon's they love them. Media baby.
The
Knicks. I mean, you're not keeping them out. Okay. And they're going to beat Washington.
Do you think so? Do you take 9.5? Do you think they'll be by 9.5?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Because I mean, every game you look at where the line is like almost double digits. I mean, top. Yeah, I mean, they're probably beat them by 14.
Okay. All right, that's the first one. Then you got I don't even want to talk about Michigan, Iowa, because it's embarrassing that
it's another notch on the belt for Michigan.
Get out of here.
I mean,
Iowa would be 5-7 in the SEC. Like they suck. Like I'm sorry. Like all your wins are crap wins against bad teams.
31-0 by Penn State.
I know. And like your 12-10 win and all that stuff, you're going to get run over. That taking Michigan and the over is going to be such a winner because Michigan's going to have this spread covered in the first quarter.
You would think so, but hell, who knows how good Michigan is either.
Nah, I know, but against these scrubs, like out of here. Okay, Louisville. And
Louisville.
Oh, you say Louisville. I say Louisville. Potato, right? Whatever. Right?
That's right. That's
Caribbean. We're together on this though. Last week, you're not going to believe it, but Kentucky beat them. Louisville.
Kentucky's a solid team.
I know, but they're playing Florida State this week, and the spread's like 2.5.
And Louisville is favored.
Oh, you're going Louisville.
We'll see.
Tough for you.
We'll see. It was kind of
tough. Okay. Then we got what's the other one?
Texas.
Oh, Texas, Oklahoma State. Have you ever had a mullet?
Yeah.
I have too. I have. They look good under my lacrosse helmet.
I got my first year in Alabama. I had to do a little known, not really well known. People just thought I had a jacked up haircut for no reason. Austin Shepard had a foundation, and he wrote me into getting a haircut of one of the donors' choices for the first game of the season. And so
did you have the Brian Bosworth?
I was hoping. Oh, it was worse than that. It was like they shaved the sides and put streaks in it. They left like the top and then left the back end, and it was like down to here.
Yeah, you know what though? You would be cool right now. That works now. No, I'm telling you, man. I mean, I know we're kind of on the back end of the mullet again, but it's in, man.
Dude, I look
the
like
guy Morgan Wallen had one.
This wasn't just a mullet. I mean, I look like I'd been cooking meth for a decade.
You had an RV out in the desert somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, not. Then you had to keep it for a game.
West Virginia game.
Look how clean cut you are now, though. I mean, hold on. Let me get this camera up here so everybody can see that. That's like the perfect haircut. Like, who cuts that? You go in.
I went to Sports Clips.
Really? Yeah. I mean, they do a fantastic job.
Yeah, right over by the new Top Golf.
Oh, no. I saw that the other day.
Yeah.
Nothing going on at Bay Bears Stadium, but there's Top Golf over there.
That place is turning around, let me tell you.
Yeah. They put that stadium in, and they were like, we're going to put a lot of really cool things around here. And for like 20 years, the cool things were like FedEx planes coming down over top of the ballpark, making a lot of noise in front of 300 fans. You know,
there's like a Walmart distribution center right outside.
You're like, it's like the third inning, and you're like, and now the team is called the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Worked out well.
The radio
guys.
pauses for station identification as soon as the plane's about to land.
What is that? This crowd really loves this game. And then what other game is that? Yeah. Do they have a chance?
ACC.
No. Texas Tech. Does Oklahoma State with the mullet have a chance to beat Texas?
Oklahoma State's a weird team, man. They show up at random times. No, I don't think they do. I think the line's pretty big too, isn't it? I don't know. But Gundy shows up, man. He shows up.
Let's make a bet here. Friendly wager. You
pick whichever side you want.
It's a 15.5 point spread. If Oklahoma State beats Texas and Alabama gets into the college football playoff, you got it. You go back to that mullet. You go back, you mullet for 1 week. Would you do that?
So if Texas covers.
No, Oklahoma State has to win, straight up win. Money line. Win the game. Bama gets in. So Bama's got to win too. This is a parlay.
For me to go back to the mullet, you'd have to give me about $500,000.
How about this? I'll sweeten the pot. 3 blue moons. This is where people are like, I'm still tuned in here, but these guys, they've lost control of their show. I'm saying right now, like I'm with you. I have no idea what to expect. Oklahoma State should not be in this game, but they're in this game. And if they get the officials that Auburn had, they have a chance.
Yeah, no kidding.
Some holdings in the right time.
And you said it was the same crew that was for the Tennessee game.
Yeah. Well, people started texting me right away, like the right off the bat when they saw where things were going. They're like, "You're not going to believe this," and I'm like, because I was that Tennessee game changed my perspective on officiating.
Oh yeah,
like and it's no disrespect to Tennessee. I'm not trying to diminish their win. I felt like they didn't want Alabama to cover. And when those guys show up, it's really strange that big spreads aren't covered. So
I've seen the Tim Donaghy documentary.
I'm
now that's I wouldn't.
Don't ever look past it. I mean, that all matters. All right, and then the last thing, and then we got to shut it down here. Bama and Georgia.
I'm taking Bama money line.
Okay, me too.
And
I'm serious.
If I wasn't an Alabama fan, I'd probably just go Bama line.
Yeah.
But since I'm pulling for them extra hard, I'm going money line this weekend.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Elephant in the Room, Roll Tide Pods, part of Disrupt the Media. Don't forget that we're brought to you by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, up to 50% price match to $1,000. Now's the time to do it. You got college football playoffs are about to come up. You got the NFL playoffs. You got NBA. You got college basketball. You got Jake's favorite sport, the NHL. All of those things going right now. They call them slap shot. No, I'm just kidding. We're all are we Predators fans down here? Have you ever been to one before?
No.
They're awesome.
No, I've been to one.
They're
Went
really
to
cool.
Caps game.
Oh, so did I. Yeah, this is my team. That's my team.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a Caps fan. But I also like the Hawks, and I guess I like the Predators. I'm not invested enough to really be like crazy.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I used to play it. It's a great sport.
They used to call you slap shot?
No. Like second team guy. Get out there and hit somebody. Anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and we will talk to you guys next Monday. Roll Tide.